Welcome to Career Practitioner Conversations. This podcast is presented by the National Career Development Association. Welcome to the NCDA podcast. I'm Melissa Venable, NCDA Director of Professional Development. It's my pleasure to introduce today's host, LaChish Rigg. She is owner of LJR Training and Coaching. She is an FCD instructor and a past president of the New Jersey Career Development Association. Today's guest is Steph Jones. Steph is a minister, marriage and family therapist, and a mindfulness life coach. You can find their full bios and links in the episode's show notes. And LaChish and Steph, I am so excited that you're here. Thanks so much.
Yes, so excited to be here. And thank you so much, Steph, for agreeing to join for this, what I know to be a wonderful conversation that we will have. Tell us a little bit about what do you do? Counselor, teacher, trainer, what do you do? And let the people know.
Yeah, firstly, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm grateful to be on this platform. So I am a high school school counselor. It's grades 9 through 12, and we help them academically, social, emotionally. It's something that I really, really love to do. It's such a passion of mine, helping the future and kind of shaping those who will be coming up, next in line, mayors, presidents, all that. And then outside of the school setting or the public school setting, I do have a mindfulness life coaching business that I assist and help people find the best versions of themselves. We're going through a lot in this world and society. Really, that's where the coaching and the training comes in, because that's what a life coach is. You are helping and you're walking with someone along their journey to make it through. So if you have a certain goal that you want to accomplish, if you just need help reorganizing your thoughts and mind, that's what I help too. And ministry goes without saying, it's just, it encompasses so much and there's so many hats to be worn, but I'm grateful to God that I'm able to navigate all those spaces in a semi-balanced way. So that's kind of a brief overview of what I do.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Oh my goodness, you are a woman after my own heart. First of all, thank you for everything you do in the school system, in addition to kind of what was shared as far as, what I do. I also work in a high school currently as a teacher, but also working towards being a counselor like yourself. So I know that that's a lot of work and the things that you do outside as far as coaching and training. So that's why I'm really excited about this conversation, how we can let the people know about the balance that we try to create, those of us who have these dual roles. So within your roles, plural, how much time do you spend doing both? You work in the high school, you have training and coaching. That can be a lot. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, I think I find spaces of intersectionality, like how can I accomplish two things at one time? Right. And what I have found, especially as a counselor, that it is life coaching, that you are coaching students through life, literally, where we know our generations coming up don't know really how to write a check or how to open a bank account and things like that. Right. So while we're focused on the academics, also working on the life skills. So those things kind of intersect for me, where I'm a school counselor, but I have to pull on the life coaching skills as well, because our students now are just not able to do certain things, right? It's just a different
Yes, I
generation.
know.
In a way that's not disparaging to them, because I think a lot of people are like, this new generation, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, no, we have to encourage them. No, they're currently not as resilient. The emotion regulation sometimes isn't there. They were raised on phones, like technology. Sometimes some skills are lost, but just helping them through that. So I think stepping into multiple roles at once and at one time, all at the same time, seeing what hats to put on. It's like, we all wear a stack of hats, and it's like, this one has to come closer to my head. I have to still wear them all at the same time, but this one's going to be closer to my head right now because I'm pulling on that, but then I'll have to shift that around and reorganize it. So it's just finding out, okay, where do these job roles, where do these things intersect, and how can I pull from all of them to accomplish what I need to accomplish?
Yes, I truly understand that, having that dual role that we both share. And what I'm hearing is that in any given one of these roles, be it as a school counselor or as a trainer, there's certain requisite skills that we utilize for either of those roles. So we just kind of have it all in our toolbox. And at any given moment, we're just kind of pulling out certain things that we need for either role because they're similar. Life skills are definitely something that our students need these days. And I love, I'm hearing like a lot of empathy for them. You know, people might say, oh, these kids these days, and regardless of however these kids are these days, they still need our help. And so that's kind of what I'm hearing from you. Yeah.
That's exactly it. But before I became a counselor, I did a 3-year marriage and family therapy program, right? It was 2 years of academics and 1 year of a grueling internship. Before
Mm,
I stepped into that field, I went into culinary arts. And
mm,
I went to culinary school. I did 2 years of culinary arts and then 2 years of hospitality management. And what they taught us was the beauty of cross utilization. That if I'm making a recipe, that if I'm making some type of dish, that I can take this piece from what I need and I can put it in another dish. I cross utilized those skills, the skills I learned in the kitchen, I applied them everywhere. So, how can I take this skill and cross utilize it in another place where it's needed that I don't just like, I'm going to step into this one lane. Sometimes you have to cross the lane safely because you don't want to
mm,
crash, but I have to jump
yeah.
into many different lanes. And I think for those who might be struggling with that balance, that's something to look at. That you have to visualize yourself crossing into different lanes, but safely. You're putting your indicator or your blinker on, you're making sure there's no oncoming traffic, but you have to cross
Mm,
into those lanes. And sometimes you have to drive in 2 lanes at once safely.
mm.
You have to do it because there's so much going on. There's so many people who need help. And there's multiple ways that we can help by cross utilizing what we already know. They all intersect. Intersectionality isn't a crash. It's I'm safely bringing two
Mm.
things together so I can help many people at one time.
I love that analogy, and it really helps me to, and perhaps those of us who are listening, those who are listening, helps to really see how we can help individuals, but also help ourselves. I'm hearing self care, that cross utilization on any given role, sort of tapping into both. And as you learned in culinary school, how cool is that? That it makes sense to overlap like not doing more than we need to and using those skills accordingly. I love that. Oh my gosh, this conversation is as great as I thought it would be.
Yes.
Oh, what are some challenges in carrying out your duties? Because we can overlap and cross utilize, and I think that alone probably helps minimize some of the challenges. But what would you say are some challenges in carrying out your dual roles?
Such a good question. And it's really important to be aware of those that challenges will arise. And I think if you're in a profession where you're in a helping profession, so I mean a counselor, therapist, life coach, nurse, somewhere that you have to give so much of yourself to make sure that someone else is okay, you mentioned the key word, that self-care. It's really important. And empathy without boundaries is very dangerous. If I just have a wide open door of empathy and I'm just letting everyone's emotions come in and I can feel everything and everyone's able to just access and without any boundaries, we'll be burnt out, we'll be completely discarded, we'll be trampled over, and we will not recognize our passion anymore. Our passion will just be so covered in fog and smoke. So you can have empathy and it's beautiful to have that, but we
Mm,
have to take care of ourselves. I always say that the highest form of love we can give to someone else is how we take care of ourselves. That
mm,
me, and I'm telling you, Lakeisha, all the hats I'm wearing, if I'm not taking care of the head that is wearing this, if I'm not taking the body that is balancing all these hats, then I'm not good to anyone. No, I'm not just
mm,
talking about me. I'm not good to anyone that I reach. I'm talking about intersectionality. I'm talking about all these different people, places, and things that I reach. If my head is not right, my mental, my mind, my physical body, we're a triune being, mind, body, spirit. If I'm not taking care of these things at one time, sometimes some things are going to receive more, care and concern than others. If I have neglected one part of my being, I'm no good to
mhm.
anybody in any role, in any place, in any space. And so finding and carving out and scheduling, I live, die, and breathe by my Google Calendar. So if I have to schedule myself, I have to put that on my calendar so it registers in my brain. Hey girl, you need to take a break. Steph, hold on, just chill a minute. I want to help everybody. And those who are listening, look, we want to help everybody. We want to be in everything, but we have to be realistic. And you can be an empath and you can have all the empathy in the world. but there's a boundary where it says, I can't do that right now. There's no shame in that. And I say that I don't have the capacity for that right now. I used to feel guilty saying that because I was raised that you got to give your all. You got to be 10 times better and do this. It's not true. I
Yeah.
can still have empathy and still have my boundary up so that I have enough energy to accomplish what I need to accomplish. And I think that's the hardest thing. Like I feel like, oh, a little tear, because that's the hardest thing to really get into. I have empathy and I want to help you. But if I don't help myself in this moment, I'll be just like the airline stewardesses who say, put on your own oxygen mask and then put on someone else's. If I put on yours, I'm gonna fall out. And what good am I? You're gonna have to carry me out now. That's no good. We can't do that anymore.
Right. Oh my goodness. Look, everything that you said is nothing but the truth and the whole truth. I love all of it. For those of us who, as you said, are in these helping professions, especially those of us who are empath, I raise both hands and both my feet to being that person. And the setting boundaries, that is the truth. And that's something that once it's learned and practiced, it really does serve us well, those of us in these professions, to, as you say, make sure we care for ourselves, because those of us who speak this type of thing, we speak it with conviction, it's because we probably have been burnt out or close. So I agree that even with our empathy, we want to help others. We definitely have to help ourselves, because we are nothing if we are not able to have our self-care, self-preservation, and things of that nature. So absolutely. And I love how you said you had to put it in your calendar, because sometimes those of us who love to help, we're just going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny. And before we know it, we are burnt out and just withered. And we don't want that, right? Because then we'll be down for us and we'll be down for the others that really look to us. So I love all of what you said. Listeners, listen up, right? This is what we have to be intentional to do. And so along the lines of, this self-care that we're talking about and scheduling time for you, what are some of the things you do, some coping strategies, some things to make sure that you do take care of you, take care of Steph?
Such a wonderful question. What I personally do is I find a way to do self-care in every place that I'm in. So even at my job, people are like, you can't get self-care there. You have to find self-care wherever you are, right? So I do workplace wellness. There's moments when we have an open door policy, but my door has to be closed at sometimes, right? Where I have to just take a moment to myself. There's music that I listen to. I have a rock that says harmony. I grab it and I hold on to it, and I'm like, okay, I need to be at harmony. It reminds me to be harmonious with myself, with others. I have LED lights. I have not a candle. I'm in the school system. I don't have any candles. If anyone's listening, I have no candles in the school system, but I have like a diffuser where the scent's just a wax smell, just something that will have that aromatherapy to set
Mm,
up that space where you just take your deep breath and you remember, okay, I can be safe here. I can be well here. But at home or outside of the workplace, I love getting massages.
mm,
I love doing staycations. You don't have to necessarily go to Hawaii. That'd be wonderful, but everyone's not able to do that. So will you miss out on self-care because you can't splurge on a trip? No. Do something, go to another place in your house. You know what I mean? Go to a friend's house, go to a hotel, get out of your current space, right? Where you're not having to think about anything and you're just able to take a deep breath. You're just able to sit and relax, take a nice steam shower, take a nice bath. These are cost affordable things that we can do. Read a nice book, watch a movie. Like these are simple
mm,
things that can be done. The goal of self-care is to remove ourselves from our current issues, problems, things that are going on, the multiple thoughts that are going in our mind. So we have to take our mind off of it. And in turn, we're doing something that's so beautiful for us. I'm a creative, so I like to paint, I like to color, I like to draw, like all those
mm,
things. And if
mm,
and if you're saying, oh, I don't know what to do, this is a great time to explore. What do you like to do? But if you don't know that, sit with yourself for a moment. What comes up? I heard a good statement. It's like the things that we need to heal ourselves usually come from the things we missed out when we were children. So when we were
mm.
children, we used to play, we used to color, we used to have crayons and all this. Let's go back to that. I'm a huge colorer. We have to get back to our childlike state
Yeah,
so we could be
yeah.
at peace. When we become adults, we become, oh, I can't do these things. We can. So I
Mm,
encourage you to find what works for you. Self-care is a tailor-made thing. What works for me, what works for you might not work for others. Find something that's tailor-made to you in every
mm.
space that you're in, on your job, in traffic, in the car. Find your self-care. Hello. at
Yes,
work,
yes.
in the busyness of wherever you are, find a space for self-care because there's a place for it.
Oh my gosh, I love all of that. And especially what you're saying about in every space and sort of being intentional and particular about not waiting for Hawaii, as nice as that may be, or any other lovely place that is beautiful. It's not waiting for that, but rather in your space of work, having some lighting and just every sense being maybe one of your senses being tapped into for a good sort of calming space and at home and just even in your car. I love that. I think even just as simple, because I love the way that you said simple things, even just as simple as breathing is one of the things that
Yes.
my students don't realize, that it doesn't matter how they might be behaving on any given day, just a nice in and out breath just kind of can calm one down. I love and coloring, going back to
Oh,
the basics. Oh my God, I love that. For me,
yes.
music calms my soul. So that's, how pretty much back in the day, I'm a lover of music from a young age, write lyrics, perform. From then till now, I have in my classroom calming sounds, lo-fi, and just depending on what's going on, just, changing music kind of sets the mood. But so many different things we can do. And I love that you said it's tailor made, right? Whatever it is that we're into, whether it's drawing, music, coloring, just find something to take care of yourself in all of your spaces. Anything you
Absolutely.
want to add on to that?
That's about it.
Yes, people listening out there, just take time to figure out what works for you, as our amazing guest Steph has shared. What advice would you have for individuals seeking to work in any or all of these roles, right? A counselor, a teacher, a trainer, helping professions, period, um, as they're aspiring to do any or all of these roles? What advice would you give prior to? Now we're talking about what to do as we're already in there, you and I and those of us like us. But what about if someone's aspiring to be a counselor, a teacher, a trainer? What should they do?
Yeah, I think it's super important to look at whatever career you want to go into as you would a potential person that you want to get married to. When you enter into these
Mhm.
spaces, you have taken a covenant here, right? Where it's not glamorous to be a teacher. It's hard work. If you don't have the like and love for it, just like you need to have the like and love for your potential significant other, that you almost have to go through premarital counseling with this career that you're saying,
Mhm.
I need to see why I want to do this. And if my passion really isn't ignited for this, maybe I need to look at something else. Because when it gets tough, when it gets hard, the passion needs to be the thing that is still ignited in you. There should be nothing that can douse that out. And should something douse that out, we're talking about being burnt out. You have to start looking at other things, right? Why
Mhm.
do I want to be a teacher? Why do I want to be a counselor? Why do I want to enter this profession? I need to evaluate and see, is this a space for me or have I glamorized this? Maybe I'm looking on Instagram and Facebook and all these different places and everyone's posting, reels about it and it looks cool and awesome. But if that passion is not inside of me, if I want to be a nurse just for the money, if I want to be a nurse because I want to wear some scrubs and it's cool and it's cute, and that passion
Mhm.
isn't here, I'm setting myself up and the ones that I'm going to touch, I'm setting us all up for failure. So we have to
Mhm.
evaluate. I'm about to enter into a marriage, a covenant with this career. Have I done my research? Is this a good partner for me? Is this
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
career for me to, you know what I mean? Is this a good
I
career for me to
absolutely
be with?
do.
That's how I would, that's the advice and the suggestions that I would give to anyone. It's not about the
Mm.
glitz and glam. When the going gets tough, just like in a marriage, in a relationship, love doesn't always hold you. When that love is gone, do you still like this career? Is this
Mhm.
career still your passion inside? That's what will sustain you and hold you when you want to quit. Because in
Mhm.
these fields, in these professions, it's not necessarily the students that are the issue. It's usually administration that is more the
Mhm.
issue. You find administration is actually more childlike than the students. So when that is rough, do you still have the love and the passion that can ignite your flame and keep you going? If not, look at something else. See what really speaks to you and holds you. That's what I would say.
That's some excellent advice right there. I love sort of likening it to a relationship because it is. People often think about relationships sort of in a romantic way, but relationships are really just any two entities, be it
Correct.
romantic, platonic, employer, employee. So absolutely. And I love how you mentioned like the reality of glamorizing things, including professions.
Mm,
And yeah, sometimes people look on IG, Instagram, like, oh, teachers look like they having a good time over there with their students and not realizing it's highlight reel. I love that you kind of like laid that out. And, having worked around aspiring teachers, one of my roles, I worked a lot in colleges prior to now working in a K-12 school system. And I used to speak with a lot of aspiring teachers, and some of them would say, I like having the summers off. Summer is for recovery. Don't glamorize that. So I would, to your point, help them to understand this is what you really have to want to do. You have to want to be passionate to help these students, or in the case of
yes.
trainers or counselors, clients. You have to really want to help them along the way. So yeah, vet it like you would if you were in a relationship, because
Mhm.
it really is. I agree 100%. So yeah, that is it. So talk to us about what are some things that you just really love about the work that you do, even with the challenges. But like you said, you kind of have to get into this stuff because you want to do it regardless of, the challenges that will come. So what do you love about what you do currently?
So many things, but some key things are I love when a student speaks to me or comes to me and I can tell that their emotional regulation, their levels have changed. Like if they've come in and they've presented a problem to me, and it's not that they can't cry, but it's just like, I want to go do something impulsive, or I want to punch someone, or I want to hit someone, or I want to yell and cuss them out, right? When they come
Mm,
to me, we have the conversation, and I can tell that their responses are different. I elevate that over any academic success.
yeah.
I do. I put that way high above because you can teach people and you can give them tests and assessments and all that. But then if they don't know how to emotionally regulate themselves when they get out into society, I don't think we're doing anyone a service. So when I
Mm,
see a change in responses with students, even with clients, like, you know what, Steph, or they call me Miss Jones in the school. Miss
mhm.
Jones, you know what? I took a deep breath, or I just waited before I responded. I'm like, this is gold for me. That is gold.
Absolutely.
Also, I love connecting with people. And honestly, a lot of staff come into my office too, just to breathe, just to chill. Like I love introducing people to the idea of taking a deep breath and taking a
Mhm.
moment to pause, taking a moment just to relax and just say, hey, I don't have to go all the time, like you mentioned before. We're running 24/7, like a computer, like a phone. Crashing is imminent. It's going to happen. If we're doing that, if we're not taking a moment, people are like, oh, I can take a break, or watching people view me setting boundaries like, oh, nope, I'm not able to do that, or nope, I need a little more time for that, or can we make sure that you're not just giving me last minute debt, like, giving people a model to look at. I think that's very beneficial. And then switching over to life coaching, or even just seeing clients, I mean, watching their responses is beautiful. Seeing people breathe probably for the first time in their
Mhm.
lives, because they have so much on their chest and so much on their shoulders, and just
Mhm.
watching them exhale so many years of trauma and so many years of just like, oh, anxiety and stress. It's such a
Mhm.
beautiful thing to watch people walk into clarity and walk into new ways of being. I like to call myself the monkey wrench, or I'll be the branch that trips you up on your path. Sometimes we're on a bike and we're just riding along, and I'll be that thing that knocks you off your bike. And when you get up, you see you have two different roads. It's not just one road. You have a path of peace, or you have a path of just going on the way you've been. And so I like being that fork in the road for people in any space I'm in. That's the passion that keeps me going, because it's tough. You hear so much as a counselor, as a therapist, as a life coach, as a minister. You
Mhm.
hear everything, and it's so hard not to take it on as your own, but you can hear it, it
Yeah.
can pass through you. You can offer people love in that moment and just keep it moving. But it's the responses. You can see the shift and the change. And I'm like, that person,
Mhm.
you got it. And I'll say
Yeah.
this too. I also, not in the school, hold on, not in the school system. I'm so the phrase I'm going to say, you're going to say why I'm saying that. we like to be fired. Therapists and life coach, we like to be let go. Doesn't apply to the school system. Keep me on another, but we'd
I
like to be
understand.
fired,
Yes.
because that lets us know that you are at a good place in your life where you have enough concepts, you have enough things that we've talked about and discussed, and you're able to feel comfortable using those and implementing them in your life. So that's a good space for me too. You know what, Steph? I think I'm
Yeah.
good. And I'm like, yes, I think so. I agree. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
That's
I
a
love
it
that.
sounds it sounds weird, but it's a beautiful moment. Let me go. So I know that you're okay. You got it. And you're gonna make it with all the things we've discussed in your healing journey.
No, I totally get it. Oh my gosh, everything you shared is so beautiful. I'm hearing that one of the things that you love is seeing your students or your clients grow, evidenced by the things they say and do, to the extent that they can sort of start to charter their own course without
Correct?
needing your hand to hold. That's
Correct.
a beautiful thing that shows that everything that you've done, and those like you and myself, when we help our students and our clients, when we see that we poured into them and they've learned and applied, that is beautiful. You said it so beautifully, and I'm just so grateful that we were able to have this conversation. I feel like this conversation alone is therapeutic, and that's part of why
Yes,
I love doing the work that I do, that we do, because I feel that they're helping me as much as I'm helping them.
absolutely.
Yes. I feel like I'm constantly seeking peace and care, and I'm intentional about those things. And I love how you said you're sort of modeling things. And I love the whole setting boundaries. As we're helping others, we're showing them that we're helping ourselves as well. So
Correct.
it's just all around mutually beneficial when we model that behavior that we teach. I love it. I love all that you've shared. This has been such an enjoyable conversation. And just to all the listeners, hopefully you've been taking notes and taking it all in. And we just wish you well with everything that you are doing. Counselor, trainers, teachers, thank you for all the hard work that you do. Make sure to take care of yourself, self-care as you take care of others. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Steph, for being here with us. We so greatly appreciate you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is such a beautiful space, and I'm really hoping that people start prioritizing themselves because, again, you're no good to anyone else unless we're taking care of ourselves, not in a selfish way, but in a self-need way.
Mm.
So you got it. This is your passion. This is what you're called to. Take a moment for yourself, or a couple moments, and you'll be good because you'll have enough energy to keep going on the journey. That's the goal. Stop, refuel, and keep going.
Thank you.